I design my room using the golden ratio. If you've never heard of this concept, the golden ratio is a proportion designers have used for centuries to create balance. Imagine a line divided into a longer part and a shorter part. Now it's considered golden when the larger part relates to the smaller part, the same way the whole line relates to the larger part. In other words, that proportion basically repeats, and that relationship is equal to about 1.618 mathematically. Well, more precisely, it's about 1.6180334887498, and it just kind of continues infinitely, and that's because it's an irrational number and the decimals never end and also never repeats. But in design, we'll just round it to 1.618. But designers aren't walking around calculating decimals, they're using more proportional logic. And this proportion shows up throughout history. Many people point to classical buildings like the Parthenon and notice how the height and width relationship feels more balanced and rigid. Renaissance artists also use similar proportions to guide their compositions, placing focal points to where the eye naturally wants to land. And what's interesting is that you see similar patterns in nature as well. For example, in the spiral of a nautilus shell, or how sunflower seeds arrange themselves, or even how plants grow. And that's part of why the golden ratio feels so intuitive. It mirrors relationships that we recognize in the natural world. Now, going into my room, the entire width is the whole. If we were to split it into a larger portion and a smaller portion, my bed and my toggle chair will form the larger portion, which I like to think of it as my rest zone, and my desk and shelving grounds the smaller portion, which I like to think of it as my work zone. So the whole space relates to the rest zone, the same way the rest zone relates to the work zone. That repeating proportion is what creates harmony. Instead of splitting the room evenly down the middle, I let one area lead and the other support. That imbalance is intentional. It's not about measuring everything perfectly, but more rather using proportional logic to make a space feel more natural to move through. And personally, I think that's why my room feels calm. Not because it's symmetrical, but because it's proportional. And sometimes balance doesn't come from dividing things evenly. And that's how